recording. So today we are learning all about resilience from the lovely Jamie Brink. Jamie Brink has got her honors in psychology and a master's in psychometry, but it's not her qualifications that are as impressive as her reason for getting them. Jamie cares very deeply about helping people find their purpose. And as a life coach, it is her job to make people know who they are, help them find clarity around what they want, and clarity about what will make them fulfilled in their lives. So she loves helping people find their way. And today she is going to teach us all about resilience, which I'm very excited about. Welcome, Jamie. Thank you so much for being our speaker today.
Thanks so much, Chamrin, and thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Welcome to everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I know it's a busy time of the year, but I sincerely hope that after today's session, you will feel invigorated and inspired to take on the second part of 2023. Can everyone hear me fine? Tamrin, if you can maybe just give me a heads up. Okay. So if you can maybe share the picture of the olive tree with us. I wanted to just play in the background while I start this talk, and then I'll take it off in a little while again. So as Tamrin mentioned, my name is Jamie Brink, and I am practicing as a life coach in Cape Town. I use psychometric assessments and life coaching modalities to help people in their businesses and in their personal lives to basically create techniques to move towards success. And today I want to talk about resilience and bouncing back in business. I love coaching clients on this because I'm able to basically see how they keep showing up for themselves in their personal and in their professional lives. Now, I'm sure every one of us in this room today can vouch to the fact that challenges and setbacks are a part of the journey of life, and specifically the journey of being a business owner. A not so enjoyable part, but a part nonetheless. So, whether you have been in business for multiple years, or maybe you have started your business recently, or maybe you are starting a new project, I'm sure you will be able to attest to the fact that you have faced some form of adversity while working in the world of business. So this then begs the question, how do we best deal with setbacks in our lives? And how can we ensure success in business? Because let's face it, none of us started our ventures hoping that it would fail or that it would struggle. So that is why I'm here today. I'm going to share a different perspective with you. One that you might be familiar with, but one that is easily, I want to say, forgotten or put at the back when we face adversity or in the midst of hardships. We tend to forget about it. And that perspective is the one that says that the success of a business lies not in avoiding setbacks, but in how we respond to them. So I want to just say that again. The success of a business lies not in how we avoid setbacks, but in how we respond to them. And I think if we take the time and we really think about it, this is something that we all know deep down. And I often remind my clients that we have the answers that we are looking for. We just need to look deep enough. And I guess that's the tricky part. But no need to fear. That is why I'm here today, because I'm going to share some techniques with you that you can use on a daily basis or as frequently or regularly as you'd like to help you develop your resilience in business and to strengthen your resilience. It'll also allow you to train your brain to recognize and even welcome so-called failures, because you will be turning them into lessons. Now, in order for us to comprehend these techniques, it is important just to quickly go over the concept of resilience, because the more we know about a thing, the easier it is for us to recognize when it shows up in our lives or when it goes dormant. And if you live in Cape Town like me, you might be also planning on going dormant for the next few winter months, but that doesn't have to be the case for your business. So you would like to know now why I have this humongous tree on the screen. And that is because an olive tree like this one really reminds me of what it means when I speak of resilience. The olive tree is one of the most resilient trees in the world. And many of the trees that we have today are actually thousands of years old. The reason why they are so resilient is because of the robustness of their root system. They have a genetically inherent robust root system that allows them to withstand the harshest of climates and also to survive or regenerate, even when the structure above ground has weathered. Now, like the olive tree with the robust root system, we as human beings have the genetic potential of a certain type of toughness within us. Yeah, so we can maybe take off the tree for now again. Thanks, Tamron. So the good news is that we have the genetic potential within us that allows us a certain type of, I almost want to say this toughness, this form of survival. And that's a great gift because it is within us, but it is our responsibility to develop that genetic potential and to strengthen that so that it can manifest in our businesses. So if I am looking at this as a business owner, I would be asking, firstly, okay, this all sounds great, but how do I implement this in my business? And I want to do it as effectively. I want to see the results very quickly. And then also it needs to be almost non-time consuming at all, because as a business owner, running your own enterprise, it's a full-time job and we don't always have the benefits of overtime and things like that. So give me strategies that will allow me to implement them quickly. I want to see results and I don't want to spend half of my day having to work on this. And that is exactly what I'll be sharing with you today. Okay, so one of the first things that is essential when we want to build our resilience and when we want to foster that ability to bounce back in business is our mindset. And I say that with almost, yes, I know all coaches and psychologists speak of mindset, and it is a little bit of an abstract term. So that is sometimes what makes it feel a bit intimidating, but we'll use practical resources today and practical exercises that will really break it down so that we can foster a mindset that is focused on resilience. Because when we are able to bring resilience and that genetic ability of toughness to our conscious minds, it will become second nature for us. And how we do that is by regularly practicing it, by doing exercises or activities that allows our mind to register it and basically become instinctively reliant on the resilience instead of perhaps other problem-solving activities. So in what ways can I develop a resilience mindset? One such way is to actually learn the truth about failures, and that is that they are lessons. Henry Ford, who developed the assembly line for mass production, said that the only real mistake in this world is the one from which we learn nothing. So in a sense, we really need to change the way we look at the term failing or failure. Because if we also refer back to the olive tree, when the structure above ground is destroyed and the trunk hollows out because that part of the tree doesn't survive forever, the robust root system still allows it to regenerate. Now, the olive tree doesn't look at itself and say, oh, I'm such a failure, or I'm failing because my leaves are falling. Instead, it does what it is meant to do, what its inherent genetic potential says it needs to do, and that is to grow and to regenerate. So in business, if losing your leaves and maybe the trunk is hollowing out, if that refers to you perhaps going through setbacks or some failings, I want you to challenge yourself by looking at what does your root system look like? So what does the foundation of your tree or your business, what does that exist of? And I want you to write this question down and then set out 15 minutes sometime today or maybe tomorrow to reflect on it. So what does my company's root system look like? Now, all of our root systems will look different. And some of us might discover that we have fantastic systems in place and processes. Some of us might see that a lot of our root system really relies on us, the business owners. And this is especially the case in smaller businesses and also sole proprietors where there's only one person. So if that is the case, we really need to look at your root system as a person or as the owner of the business. And two ways that we can develop our root systems as entrepreneurs or business owners is to firstly look at our network. Now, just as the olive tree has a strong network of roots supporting it, we as entrepreneurs need to develop our networks because it has been found that in difficult times, a strong network can provide a safety net during these times and really promote the bouncing back of the business. Building a strong network by engaging with other colleagues, with other business owners, really fosters knowledge sharing and almost like a collective problem-solving opportunity. And then at the same time, this network can provide you with psychological benefits as well. So once we are a part of a network, whether it's small or big, but we know that we have those to rely on, it also reminds us that we are not alone, and it provides us with that sense of security. Now, building relationships and networking doesn't come naturally to all of us. I know it takes a certain amount of effort, and I realize that we already have a lot to do to run our businesses. But the good news is that this is one aspect of the business that we can control. So in a world where there's many things that are out of our control, it can be game-changing to really hone your attention on the aspects that you are in control of. And that one, in this case, is the size of your network, the people you are wanting to network with, the areas where you network in. So I really want you to reflect on that, but then to also just remind yourself to not push yourself too far out of your comfort zone when you start implementing new strategies. Now, another aspect that we can look at to really promote our root system is and if you have employees, the well-being of yourself and your employees. And I know self-care has become a topic where it almost feels like everyone is referring to it these days, and it's almost losing its impact. But in this case, I don't want to use the word self-care, but I want to say that look at ways that you can provide yourself with the support that you need for your employees. So when you are taking the necessary care of yourself, you're able to handle and manage stress and change much more effectively. And as business owners, I think it is essential for us to take the time to recharge. I think recharging in small ways, like just stepping away from your desk at lunchtime, or going for a cup of coffee to get yourself out of the office, can be invaluable. Now, I want you to consider some of the ways that you are caring for yourself at the moment. And if we can pop some ideas in the chat box, that would be lovely, because I think we can also learn a lot from each other. It can also be maybe some ways that you would like to care for yourself that you haven't gotten around to. So if you want to share or feel comfortable sharing some of those, you're welcome to do so. And by, I guess, writing them down, even if it is in a chat box, it also really emphasizes how important these things are to focus on. Okay, Tamrin says, whoa, there's a lot coming through. I need daily time alone to read. Oh, yes. Mal, going for a short brisk walk helps me regroup. Yes, lovely. The fresh air, just getting out of the office. Michelle says, taking time to do the things I love doing, like sketching. Michelle, I think you should maybe put in your diary a 10-minute sketching time every morning or during lunchtime. Just do a very basic sketch of socializing with staff. Neil, yes, because that also speaks to our network and our psychological well-being. Currently having tea, watching you, and eating biscuits with jam. Nourish the body. Daily reading, writing, and walkies. Absolutely. And I hope that you are scheduling these into your diaries, because then we are holding ourselves accountable. Bronwyn, walking in my garden. Absolutely. Surrounding yourself by nature is so important. Mal, sometimes I cook in the middle of the day just to change the energy. I love it. I can actually agree with that, Mal. I usually don't enjoy cooking in the evenings because I'm so tired. So when I work from home, I start cooking in the mornings already. So absolutely, we got to stay resilient and bounce back. Working from home, Elizabeth says, hugging my dogs and cats. So selfless, don't talk back. Oh, and they bring such a lovely energy into our homes as well. Okay, thanks for sharing all of that. There's more coming through, but I'll look at them in a little while. So it seems like we're off to a good start. We have some ways that we are taking time to recharge. So I think the next step for this group, who clearly has some already well-developed resilience abilities, is to just note that in your diaries or put it on a sticky note on your fridge so that you're reminded daily to get it done. I think in the moment, sometimes we tend to use all kinds of arguments and logic to argue that we don't have the time or it's not really worth it right now. But in the long run, these consistent, small, interim little parts of practicing self-care has results, and that results flows over into how we show up in our business. Now, I think something like that is very often put too little value on, if that makes sense. I think it's because we cannot see the results immediately. We live in a world where we sort of are rushed to get results, to get things done, move on to the next project or the next development. And things like self-care, caring for your body, caring for your mind, caring for your creativity, those are things that are that don't show immediate results, but with consistency, the results will become clear, and it'll be a peace of mind that you'll experience. And when we have that, we're just so much more geared when setbacks come or difficulties arrive in our businesses. And then, of course, we are able to show up, and we are able to be more resilient, because there's no way in avoiding setbacks. It's how we deal with them. So next time you take a day for yourself, or read that book that you've been hoping or wanting to read, or watch that movie that you've been wanting to see, remember that it is you actively working on your resilience, and it will show in the success of your business. So no more excuses. Now, another technique that I want to share with you is one called the blame game. Now, according to Professor Edmondson from the Harvard Business School, the blame game is one of the most sticky situations that we as entrepreneurs and managers and leaders get ourselves into. And when we get stuck here, it really prevents us from developing our resilience. And why this is so is because it almost has become a part of our psychology as human beings. From a very young age, we experience times where we are blamed, or where we blame others for mistakes. And if you think back to the last time you were blamed for something, I'm sure it will really arouse some very uncomfortable feelings. So I personally know that I have gone to great lengths to avoid being blamed for something going wrong, and have wished that the earth would swallow me up rather than being blamed or having the finger pointed at me. Because there's some kind of emotional reaction that we have when something is blamed. But still we get trapped in that. We blame others, we blame processes for things going wrong, and then we stop the thought there. Instead, today I want to recommend to you to continue that thought. And even if you have to get stuck in the blame game, move forward and say, but how can I learn from this experience? Because yes, if certain systems would work faster, then I wouldn't have to spend so much time. Or if this person had done their job, then this setback wouldn't have happened. But we all know going down that rabbit hole really doesn't change the outcome of the situation. However, I want to challenge yourself to complete the thought and say, what can I learn from this? What is it that this experience is here to teach me? Now, Professor Edmondson says that most leaders recognize logically that we don't need to stop at blaming each other, and we need to move to the next step of what are we learning from the experience. But also there's a certain feeling that if we let too much go, things, there might be an atmosphere of anything goes, and the standard of work might be affected. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation for entrepreneurs or owners. And in our workplaces, a lot of our work does require some form of creativity or novelty. So when we bring in new things like that, it is a given that some portion will go wrong. Therefore, to navigate this for us is difficult, but to always remind yourself to not get stuck in the blame game and hold space for failures or so-called failures. Because when we hold space for failures for others and for systems, we're also able to do that for ourselves. And that will train our brains to be gentler on ourselves if we were to fail or not achieve what we set out to do. So in order to do this, you will firstly need to set an intention every day to reflect on your past failures. So this you can do daily, weekly, monthly. And again, this is activity that might bring up some uncomfortable feelings. When you list things that you feel you have failed in or your business have failed in. But it is essential to do this to move to the second half of the activity, which is when we start analyzing these failures and almost identifying the red flags that, you know, we have noticed, but we maybe haven't spent the time fixing or looking at because it didn't seem really worthy of our time or our resources. And through this activity, the red flags will almost become a part of your comfort zone, and they won't be as intimidating as they used to be. So instead of putting it off, maybe start with a 15-minute practice once a week. Make a list of 2 or 3 things that you want to improve on in your business. And the next step is analyze that to see what it is you can do, maybe to improve that or to restructure that. And here I want to remind you to bring in your root system again, bring in your network. So if you don't know what to do about this red flag, call your network of colleagues and other business owners, get specialists in the field to help you with this. And also your root system of self-care. Perhaps you're feeling tired, and that is why you are not inspired to create new content or to write new things. So look at, are you sleeping enough? Are you taking care of yourself in the necessary way for you to show up as the best version of yourself? Okay, so that's quite a lot of information, but I hope that some of it is sinking in some way and landing for you. If you miss any of these techniques, then I'm very happy to share it with you. But we have one final technique that I hope you can hold on for, and that is just this thing, changing circumstances and all this adaptability that we need to have in this world where everything is very fast-paced and fast-moving. So that technique is, how can we stay open and adaptable? Because this will allow you to show up with more resilience in your business. In an article in 2020 in the Harvard Business Review, they said that mainstream business education focuses largely on managerial performance. But as the COVID-19 pandemic has revealed, leaders are now starting to focus more and more on resilience. Because our structures are so fragile, we need to be able to bounce back. So this concept of resilience is really taught in today's business schools. So I want to challenge you to stay away or move away from the mainstream and create your own path. Deep dive into the concept of resilience and the power it holds so that you can stay ahead of the curve. And like the olive tree that I want to come back to very quickly, the olive tree, over the thousands of years that it lives, it needs to adapt. Perhaps the circumstances that it used to live in 20 years ago has now changed. Perhaps some development happened and it now needs to regrow among boulders and rocks and all kinds of houses and structures. And the olive tree doesn't shrink in the face of this challenge. It accepts what the situation is and it does what it is made to do, and that is to grow. Personal development coach Steve Sims also makes a good point when he speaks of the word fail and the word failure. And he says we need to change this word, because when we try something and we fail and we learn, this is actually a process of discovery. So we should instead look at this as discovering. When entrepreneurs can change their perspective on this failing to instead look at it as a process of discovery, they are better able to move to the next leg of the business journey. So adaptability is fundamental to the success of our business. And to be resilient in business, we even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, sometimes have to try and be flexible and to adjust our strategies and processes. And what does this look like? Well, in order to develop your openness and your adaptability, we want to motivate each other to seek new opportunities and to embrace innovation. Business leaders who understand that rigidity can lead to stagnation knows that adaptability allows you to open doors to growth and sustainability. And before we really can implement adaptability in our businesses, it might be worth your while to look inwards first. So how adaptable are you as a person? How open are you? And I have a very nice practice that I want to share with you, one that'll take you 10 minutes at most. And that is to, at the end of every day, to just answer the question, how did I show an openness to change in my day to day? Or how did I show openness today? Because if we are able as entrepreneurs to develop our openness and our comfortability with openness, it will again flow over into our businesses, and that promotes resilience. When you write down your thoughts on how you showed up in the world being open today or yesterday, also answer the question, what was the result of this? So look at how it affected your day or your week. This doesn't have to be done daily. If you want to start with weekly or once monthly, that's fine. But the reflecting and the consistency of you doing that introspection and getting those answers will allow you to grow comfortable in that space. And openness is one of the 16 personality traits that we as human beings have. Some individuals are more inclined to be open and others are more inclined to be reserved. I certainly fall more on the reserved side. So working for myself is absolutely lovely, but then I also need to go out of the office and like engage with people and go out of my comfort zone. So those are things that I plan and prioritize, but also put boundaries on to make them less scary. If you are more to the open side, that is absolutely wonderful. I admire that so much, and I hope that I can get some very nice tips from you. But if you suspect that you fall more to the reserved side, again, just start small. Challenge yourself to move outside of what you're used to, but not too far that you shock your system. If you feel uncomfortable cold calling someone, try something like email correspondence or contacting them via LinkedIn. If you don't enjoy face-to-face networking, suggest a telephone call or even these video calls. You'd actually be surprised at how many people will respond positively to this. Mel mentioned earlier she likes going for a walk. If you're not as brave as Mel to go into the cold weather and take a walk outside, perhaps just do a nice comfy home stretch for 10 minutes just to give yourself that care. In your diary, schedule a 30-minute coffee break to get out of the office if you're working alone or if you've gotten used to being alone. And put that boundary down, make it a 20-minute or a 30-minute, and communicate this to your colleague that you're meeting or your friend so that you are not pushed too far out of your comfort zone, but that you are still showing up for yourself in that way. Okay, so those are some of the techniques that I wanted to share with you today. Just to conclude, I realized that this aspect and this concept of resilience and bouncing back takes a combination of techniques. And that's why I want to remind you to start small and not feel intimidated by it, because it is something that will only help you and support you in your business. because fostering this resilience mindset will help you to navigate the uncertain waters that we are sometimes in, and hoping that it will also help you to show up in your business as authentically as you are, and for your business to, I guess, not identify, to represent that. So today I want to challenge you to go out and really make resilience your company's strategic advantage. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jamie. That was fantastic. Really good. There you go. You got applause from Neil. That's how good it was. I really love that. I've just asked if everyone has a moment, put your biggest takeaway in the chat. I know for me, my favorite one, actually, I'm scribbling all the way through, but then right at the end was my favorite one, because I battle with the openness, and I've got a issue with being pushed outside of my comfort zone. And I love the fact that you said use boundaries to protect yourself. So you can step out of your comfort zone, but you can do it in controlled circumstances. So you can stretch that comfort zone slowly, which I think was amazing. I see Wimpy has a question for you.
Jamie, the thing is, everybody's talking about openness. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I've been an accountant. I moved out of a business. I started my own business. Now I'm working from home. I'm a service company. So I need to be, open and on the road. So I don't mind meeting you or the rest of the room. But what about all the other work that needs to be done? How do you balance that? And staying positive, being alone for me, because it's only me and my wife. So that's quite a downfall, if you know what I'm saying. But I can't be on the road the whole time managing everything.
So what is it that you're struggling with? Is it because you're at home and it's just you and your wife?
Yes. Or me alone, because she's working from 6 to 3. So she leaves at 5 in the morning. She comes back at 4. I normally start my stuff 4 o'clock in the afternoon with admin and what.
Mm-hmm.
During the day, it's up and down, doing house chores and all of that. You say breaking away, but I need to keep the house right. So I'm a house husband in that sense of the word nowadays.
I hear you, yes.
I'm well aware of networking. BNI doesn't work for a single owner or, sole proprietor, whatever. So, there's a lot of that. That's my issues.
Yes. So
I can't balance everything.
So Wimpy, when do you go and do something for yourself?
Weekends, if there's time, or through the day, early mornings, catching up on some TV and PVR and whatever.
Okay. So you said weekends if there is time. So perhaps to prioritize something to do over the weekend that refuels your tank also. So to put that on the priority list so that you can spend that time doing something that is only for you, that's not household related or work related. Because we do tend to get almost sucked into the warp of all the responsibilities that we have and the things that need to get done. And then we forget that we also need to be healthy and happy to show up in our businesses.
Exactly, because, my kind of business, paper and cartridges. Yes, cartridges is doing well, but paper is disappearing. But paper will still be there, just in another form.
Yes.
But so now everybody's in the market because everybody's moving towards toilet paper. Excuse for bringing up the topic, but that's the truth. Printing paper, that's gone. But I need to get into a market that I need to look after your kids. Because with COVID and stuff, I missed with that. Because I myself had COVID for 2 weeks where I was in hospital. And that's terrible, believe in me. So, you know, that's the kind of thing spinning through my mind.
So what I would suggest is, you know, you definitely seem to want to focus on openness and that adaptability, because your work environment is actually asking for it with these, you know, with the changing of us moving away from paper. Perhaps something you can do is to put it in your schedule to at least reflect on how you showed up in an open manner yesterday. And I'm going to suggest that it might actually be just reflecting on it that's going to allow you to see where there are opportunities for you to become more open, or where it might feel more comfortable for you to be more adaptable in certain environments. So it's just that reflection, just challenging your mindset like that. That might give you some interesting information. And then that will tell you how to move forward. So just a daily 5-minute reflection. How did I show up in an open manner yesterday?
Well, I thrive on it.
Well, then you're on the right path.
I put Jamie's contact details in the chat for everyone. I highly recommend anyone who is battling, you know, with finding direction, with finding purpose. Jamie is 100% the person to speak to. Book a session with her. Spend a bit of time going through her, you know, all the tools and techniques, and she's really, I mean, you just experienced how wonderful she is to speak to. You're doing a training session, Jamie, and I felt like we were sitting in armchairs opposite each other, and that you were solving life's problems for me. It was lovely. So I can only imagine how wonderful you are in an actual session. So yeah, anyone wanting advice, I really do recommend that movie. I think it would be amazing. Do you have any other questions for Jamie? Are you good? Does anyone else have questions for Jamie? There was lots of comments, but I think Jamie, everyone was just telling you what a great job you did.
Oh, I'm reading them now. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm so happy you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you can take something away from it today, and that it will gear you for the next half of this year.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the session very much, Jamie. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who attended. I am going to send out a recording, so if you didn't make the copious notes I did, you have a chance to still do so. And I hope that you do reach out to Jamie, even if it's just to get to know her better as a person, because she is a lovely person to know. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us in the Builder. Also, if side note, but it just occurred to me, we are launching our burnout prevention program in August. So if anyone is going through specifically burnout, or the feeling that they are being overwhelmed by business, then do drop me an email as well, and we will send you information about that. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jamie. It was really wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Tamarin. Much appreciated.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.